Ashok. He's a dear friend, and he's been an inspiration all his life to youngsters. Now he's going to be an inspiration globally to everybody. We wish you well, Ashok, from the bottom of my heart, from my family, from my husband, from everyone, that this is it's going to be one more feather on your cap. Thank you, Ashok.
About 3 years ago, my father's memory was starting to fail, and as I made my trips to India, I used to take a little tape recorder and record my mom and dad and ask them some questions about their extraordinary lives and how they brought us up in India and so on. And from that came various questions about how, in fact, mom had managed to balance being a mother, being a wife, being an extraordinary businesswoman, and a very, very difficult taskmaster in tennis. Some of you in the audience may actually remember when at 6 a.m. every morning we would run along Sterling Road, but my mother would follow us in the car to make sure that we in fact ran the 4 miles. So it was definitely a difficult taskmaster. As the memories came rushing back, I decided that I would go ahead with the book. Writing this book has been a personal and emotional journey for me. I talk about moments in my life that were very difficult, the ups and downs, the insecurities of growing up with 2 older brothers who were better looking, at least at that time, more talented at that time, and taller even today. I remember when I was very young going to Sapphire Theatre here in Chennai. As the lights dimmed and the curtains parted, I waited with bated breath for the magic of the movies to take over and be transported into another world. I think I started dreaming of Hollywood in that theatre. I was lucky to have great parents and wonderful brothers who I traveled with in the 70s playing tennis, reaching the finals of the Wimbledon Juniors and winning the World Team Tennis Championships of Los Angeles. I talk about going to California for the first time, the palm trees, the beaches, the California girls, and of course Hollywood. I had always dreamed of being a part of it. Well, I made the transition in 1980, and it wasn't quite what I imagined. For 5 years, I played in very bad tennis games with producers and directors and tried to network with them on their tennis courts. I mean, really bad tennis games. And banged my head against closed doors. And I remember having a number of conversations with my dear friend Sidney Poitier, who 2 decades earlier had broken down the wall between the races and had been the first black actor to overcome Hollywood. So 2 decades later in the 80s, it was no different for a young Indian tennis player to try to make it in those hallowed walls of Hollywood. The difficulties were not small, and for the first decade, it took me 5 years to make a movie. Right around the middle of that time, I was very lucky to work with Mr. Rajinikanth on a little film called Bloodstone, a film well before its time, when there wasn't any talk of co-productions. I was honored that he would work with me in the movie. I then made a whole bunch of small films with HBO and a few other companies. And then in 1990, I was sitting at the Cannes Film Festival, and a young man comes running across the Carlton Terrace to me and says, "Ashok." So I look up, and there's this kid, and he said, "You know, I sent out 800 photographs in 1984, and you were the only guy who called me back." I didn't feel like telling him I had nothing to do. I was an out-of-work producer, but didn't feel like the right time. So he said, well, we have to make a movie together. So we ended up making this movie called Double Impact. His name was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Movie cost $11 million, grossed over $100 million, and Van Damme was a movie star, and people started returning my calls. I start my book in 1990 and 91 because those were sort of very important years in my life. Double Impact movie opened in 91, and it was a true double impact because my mother found me Chitra that year. Now, she did throw in a few phrases like, you're going to be on the shelf if you don't get married now. So, and then she said, you're getting too old. I don't know which girl is going to look at you. So I didn't feel like telling her that I was having a pretty good life in California, but be that as it may, I was lucky to meet Chitra, and I got married in '91 and have two wonderful children. More importantly, the other part of my book is about family, tradition, and values that my parents brought us up with here in India, and the balance between what I do in Hollywood and the very seductive life that one tends to lead with private jets and yachts and different things, and balancing that against family and coming back to Chennai and spending time with my wonderful mom. One particular instance comes to mind, making impossible decisions. In 2005, I went to the Cannes Film. No, I didn't. I had stars who were going to the Cannes Film Festival, Sandy Bullock and Nick Cage and Steve Martin, and I had to be there for those first 2 days. But it also happened to be my son's first Holy Communion. And one of the biggest mistakes of my life that I write about is when I missed my son's first Holy Communion. I went to the Cannes Film Festival and never made that mistake again. But these are decisions we make and get over and move on from there, but never forget. The book talks a lot about family. It talks about religion. Thank you, Father, for the blessing, and a number of other things that have been very influential in my career. But I think overall, it's a pretty good read, if I say so myself. I hope many of you will read it. I hope some of you will like it. Those who do, please feel free to let me know. Those who don't let me know. I will say that my father would have enjoyed the book. He would have probably worn his T-shirt with the cover of the book on it and walked at Madras Club. He loved his T-shirts, and I'm sure he's looking down on us and enjoying the gathering. So I owe so much to my parents. My mom was here with us, my brothers, and of course the unconditional love and support of my wife and kids. So I'm very happy that all of you are here to share this very special moment with me. So thank you very much.
Ashok Amritraj, author of the book and hero of today's function. It's a pleasure to release The Advantage Hollywood, autobiography of Thiru Ashok Amritraj, and a guide and a great personality, and address this distinguished gathering here this evening. Autobiographies are not just memories. They reveal the hardships undergone, the tireless efforts put in by great personalities to turn the tumbling stone into success. Thiru Ashok Amritraj, who made India feel proud in tennis by winning at the World Team Tennis Championships, has won a special place among the film producers in Hollywood. Writing about it now has given me clarity. Not to me, to Ashok. When I browse through the book, one interesting thing which comes out is Ashok Amritraj's amazing willpower and his courage to achieve what he dreamt of and his guts to take risk. Thiru Ashok Amritraj has brought Actors to his hometown of Chennai and to India. His amazing journey has taken him from Chennai to Wimbledon and then to Hollywood, where he has produced over 100 films in the last 30 years, turning his dreams into reality and pioneering a pathway for all Asians in Hollywood. While Ashok lives in Los Angeles, he has never forgotten his roots. He comes back to Chennai often and has maintained the culture, tradition and family values. with which he was raised. All credit goes to his parents. His mother is here with us today, and I would like to congratulate her on her three sons, Ashok, Vijay and Anand. Today, we celebrate the launch of Ashok autobiography, which not only speaks of an Indian's success globally, but equally speaks of the importance of family and religion in his life. He is a role model for Indians all over the world. I convey my warm felicitations to the Ashok Amritraj, and I am sure that he will bring more accolades in future. I conclude with the verses from his Advantage Hollywood. Again I quote, if I have one bit of advice for the next generation, I would say follow your passion. Understand when you need to change direction, and then have the guts to follow through and do it. Unquote. The youth today should be ready to take risks in life. They should draw an inspiration from great personalities like Ashok Amritraj. My greetings to you all. Jai Hind.